Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask an Educator, the Sofia Speaks special edition. I am so excited to continue to have these conversations because, man, there is just so much to talk about. Let me tell you. So, with that being said, I really want to talk to you guys about my next guest. But before I do, for those of you who are logging in for the first time and wondering, what is this lady doing on the LEC, the Latinx Education Collaborative airwaves? Well, I always like to start with a backstory. So it started about 2 years ago when the LEC and myself kind of joined forces. I was a former guest on this podcast. I hosted a book study with them virtually. I wound up being on one of their center stages at one of their incredible conferences in KC. And then I was a part of their inaugural fellowship with Storytellers for Change. So we just thought that it would be the next best thing to get Mrs. G, that'd be me, onto the airwaves to continue the conversation, because what LEC aims to do is to amplify the Latinx voice in the K through 12 space. And that is my jam. That is my MO. That is what I'm about. And so I am just so excited to continue these Ask an Educator segments. And I always like to create a bit of a theme, a central theme that kind of guides all of the podcasts that I engage in. So the last episode was with my colleague from Morton East High School, Mr. R, and he represented a very important topic in the world of EDU that I will continue to unpack even with my guests coming up: the lack of representation and a shortage for the male identifying Latino teachers in the teacher workforce. There is such a shortage. We need to continue to talk about some of these challenges that we're facing, because it definitely has a lot to do with the state of education as we know it. And you and I know that we need to continue to move that needle forward. So listen, I thought that it would be such a cool thing to bring up my next guest, who is a recent friend and new colleague of mine that I met through the Fulbright Teachers for Global Classrooms experience. We just got back from India, so we'll be unpacking that as well. Stay tuned. I got pictures, I got video, I got receipts. Okay. But listen, I am just so excited to introduce you to my friend Alex, who is doing incredible work in New York. Come on, the Bronx coming through. We got Chicago and the Bronx. I'm about to bring him up to center stage. Alex, how are you, my friend?
Hi, Sofia. Hola, 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 everybody. It's good to be here. And it's not the Bronx, although I did work in the South Bronx for almost 4 years. I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn. Ooh, let me not get it wrong. See,
Oh,
okay.
yeah. People in the Bronx
We
get
are
mad
in
about that.
Brooklyn. Right. Okay. Because, I got a lot of friends in KC and Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Mo.
Oh,
They
we
ain't
get
the
sensitive.
same.
We get sensitive. But we love the Bronx. I taught in the Bronx for 4 years. I really love the Bronx, but I'm a Brooklyn kid. Can't help it. Brooklyn all the way.
I love it. Well, listen, we're just so excited to have you on the podcast this afternoon. And I could definitely, since we spent some time together in India, in another part of the world, and we had a lot of time to chat, I could definitely let the people know who Alex is. But I definitely want to give you an opportunity. Listen, just introduce yourself for the folks that will be coming online here. Tell the people a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what's your cultural landscape. Tell us who Alex is today.
Wow, that's a big question. Wow, I get to talk about myself. That's new. I can say that I was born Alex, actually Alexis Eduardo Pajares Garay. I was born in Lima, Peru. That's where my family's from. We have a really deep connection to our ancestry. Family came from Spain. We can trace our family line all the way to northern Spain, almost 1,000 years.
Wow.
The town of Pajares. Um, but I would say that I grew up in Lima for most of my childhood, early childhood, until my mother got divorced. She got married really young and she got divorced very young, and she decided and you know this. I mean, traditional Latino households don't really look at divorce as something positive or as the next step. It's not like it used to be, but clearly my mother didn't feel very comfortable with being a divorcee in Peru. So she
Mm.
decided to come to the United States, and she came to New York. And I was about 5 at the time. Um, I was very little, so I grew up with my grandparents until about 13, when my mother invited me to New York City for Christmas. That was a story. And when I came, all excited, I'm in New York. Next thing you know, after the holidays, my mother is like, "Well, you started school next week." And I'm like, "What?" And I like, basically, that's how I end up staying in New York City. My mother, of course, I was only 13, and I cry and I scream. I want to go back home to my friends. And my mother
Oh,
made
wow.
it very easy and simple. It's like, if you can afford a ticket back to Peru, you can go back to Peru. And of course, I was 13, and that's the beginning of my experience, my life in New York. I went to Lafayette High School, and I had to learn English, of course, and adapt to a new culture. So I came to live here, and even though I was resentful to my mom for many years on that, I know she did the right thing, because I love New York. But I started working at 14, and I think that was when I started to go on my own as a Latino young man. I got my first job at McDonald's, 14 years old. My first paycheck. I bought my first CD player. It was huge. And but then I knew the value of work and the value of earning money. I think I've been working full time since. I'm 50 now. So
Wow.
I mean, from McDonald's, I did one semester in college. I couldn't adjust, and I went to the military. I served in the Marines for about 8 years, 1991 to 99. I served in the African Command in Somalia. Um, but I will not have a college experience again until 1999, when I finally decided I'm going to go back to college. And I enrolled in Brooklyn College in 1999, graduated in '02, a degree in history. And I was working at the Metropolitan Museum of Art when somebody offered me the opportunity to become a teacher. So I
Wow.
applied, I got accepted, and it's been now 20 years of teaching in New York City.
That is amazing. And that kind of led me to my next question of like, what led you to the teaching journey and who could we really credit? I know you just prefaced it now.
It is, I reflect on that. I was reflecting on the questions you shared with me. There's been one person going back to my first year of high school in Lima, Peru, Mr. Mario Florian. He's he's passed away a long time ago now, but he was my first history teacher in high school, and the man was incredible. Such a great storyteller, and I love history.
Well,
So the way he taught, I was so engrossed by it. I always saw myself, if I ever wanted to become a teacher, and I avoided it for a long time, I would like to be like him. I would like to tell a story, not just facts and figures and textbooks, but it's the real story that can really inspire people and create a sense of curiosity about the world. So, I
mm,
mean, Mario Florian was my first history teacher, and I think he was a remarkable man, and I always remember him as a great man, and I owe him that, because I think that when I teach, I want to make him proud still.
I love that. And we now we're realizing, right, truly the impact that a teacher could have on us.
Absolutely,
And how for
absolutely.
many of us, it really led us to the classroom and to create the kind of change that we long to create right now. So I love that there was someone in your life that really gave you that opportunity to see yourself, right? To see yourself as a teacher. And we'll talk about the power of representation soon. Um, but let's get right into it. I mean, what impact have you seen being a Latino male, right? You are in Brooklyn, okay? Tell me the demographics there
Well, I
in your
mean,
school, in your area.
I worked in Coney Islands, what we call Brooklyn South, Southern
Okay.
Brooklyn. We say
Yeah.
Brooklyn South. Um, we are in a very underserved community, in a school that will also be underserved. It's what we call a transfer school.
Mm,
Transfer school is basically a school where the students that come to our transfer school are students that basically have not been able to be successful in a regular school setting because of a number of reasons: emotional
yeah,
issues, economic issues,
right.
homelessness, um, poverty levels, et cetera, et cetera. So we basically end up having students that, in most cases, already have been rejected by most schools in the city. Um, the system has kind of given up on them, and
Okay.
except, but when they come to us, basically we are the last chance to graduate from high school, and so they come with a desire to graduate, to meet those credit requirements, complete their courses, and move on. So we provide that service. I provide that service. Most of our students are Black and Hispanic, Black and Latino students. There is a small population of students from the Eastern European bloc, also students of Russian background, Asian, as China and India, kids from the Middle East. But the biggest numbers are African American and Latino students. Um, we basically try to develop relationships with them in a way that they can embrace learning, not just as an obligation, but as something that can make them aspire to something better. It's
I
not
love
just just taking classes for the sake of credit. We really want them to appreciate what they're learning.
that. Mhm.
Sort of affect their perspective, make them want to do more with their lives. Um, and also because of that, we provide also a lot of counseling services and
Mhm.
college preparation. So we do that. So
Sure.
that's what's cool. I mean, being a Latino teacher, I think it's helped because I think a lot of my students, especially my Hispanic, my Latino kids, they don't see a lot of male role models in
That's
the
right.
schools. So when they see me teaching them, and when they learn about who I am, where I come from, it makes them feel that they can also achieve a level of success in their lives as well. And that really, I mean, in a way, we help inspire kids. But it is challenging. It is challenging because our kids have so many issues
Yeah.
and they deal with so many problems at home. Some of them have to work. COVID send a lot of these kids to work, and
Mhm.
they need to support their families. Some of them, I mean, we helped as much as we can to make sure they get housing when they're homeless. Sometimes there are accidents, we have fires. Like the entire community, school community, and in the community in general, tries to provide. I mean, it's Coney Island can be a very amazing place when we pay attention to what's going on. Most people get it can be dangerous, can be tough, but there's a lot of great people there, and we're a community school, and we provide a community service.
I love that. And, I share that similar background with you in terms of working in like high needs areas that specifically, serve Black and Latino students. And one of the things that I was able to really identify is just how powerful they are and tapping into their resilience, tapping into just their ability to be adaptable and adjust to circumstances and barriers and challenges. I
Mhm.
think once we find those sweet spots in the classroom and really position themselves, putting our students like in front of a mirror saying, listen, you have assets, right? Like you have so much inside of you, so much power, so much resiliency, so much adaptability. Tap into that. And I am certain that you've been able to do that with your students. But let's go deeper. I mean, I did show you this article in EdWeek
Mhm.
that said, in fact, only 9% of public school teachers are Hispanic, and about 2% are Hispanic men, despite the fact that the Latino student population is the fastest growing in the country, making up a quarter of our K through 12 students. This was from the Latino male teachers building the pipeline article in about 2019, 2020. What is your response to that?
Well, I mean, all you have to do is really go to any public school in America and just count. There is not a lot of diversity in the public school system. There isn't. There isn't. And there is a number of reasons why is that's going on. But
Right.
to the fact that I exist as a Latino teacher in New York City, I'm only
Mm,
one in. I believe the numbers in New York City are about 16%. Almost half
mm,
of the population in school population in New York City is either African American or Hispanic, and that's 50%. The population of teachers that are of Latino background are about 16%. Well, not
Wow.
that many, um, and that is a problem because the kids need to find people to connect with, role models. Most of the time, you're gonna see in the system, most teachers are women.
Right.
Women. I
Yes.
mean, and that is not, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but we're in a diverse country, and we need to have, and the classrooms have to reflect that. The schools have to reflect that, and
Absolutely.
then you have to allow the opportunity for kids to develop relationships with teachers, and having common ground um, can facilitate that. And unfortunately, that's not happening.
Right. And the research is overwhelming when it points to a diverse teacher workforce and how it can really create
Yeah,
such astronomical outcomes
yeah.
for
We
our
talked about
students.
research. We have talked about research, right? You don't see any, people are like, how come we have, they say there is not enough Latino teachers. How do you know that? Go into any school. You can go to
Go into high
Any
school.
school in New York City, any school in Washington D.C., on Seattle, and Denver, Colorado, and California, and you'll just count. You can count the teachers that are not white with your fingers.
Absolutely. And we could have a robust conversation with that. I've examined teacher diversity across the United States and really looking at the pipeline. It really goes back to, are we recruiting, right? How are we recruiting? What are our best practices? Are we going to these MSIs and these HBCUs? Like, are we going to minority serving institutions? I don't like the word minority, but that's the acronym for it, because honestly, like, there's nothing minor about a diverse population. So, and if we really want to be technical, we're the majority minority, but I digress. Really, our hiring practices need to change, right? And access to quality teacher preparation programs for aspiring teachers of color needs to be more accessible. And we know that that really needs to take place at the policy level, the state level, and at the federal level. And that's why Ms. G took a leave of absence from the classroom, one of her most favorite spaces in the planet,
Hey,
to work with the Department of Education. And one of those things that I'm really going to be zeroing in on and applying pressure and examining is the teacher pipeline, because it is so important, right? All
yeah,
students need to be represented. And guess what? Diversity benefits every child, right? Because it promotes diversity, it promotes acceptance, it promotes tolerance, it promotes so many things, right? Breaking
absolutely.
down those misconceived notions and those biases that maybe our students might have against other cultures and other races. But there's something to be said about mirrors and windows, right? And the
Yeah,
male Latino educator, that is problematic. When I was doing the research in the state of Illinois, listen to this statistic: 6.2% of the teacher workforce were Latino males in the 2018-2019 school year. And my source is credible, the National Center for
I,
Education Statistics.
I don't disagree with math. I can tell you that much. I mean, the numbers are always there. I
Ah,
mean, we can talk about research. I mean, it's right in front of you. It's right in front of you. You can go to any, like I said, you can go to any school in New York City right now in America, and the numbers are not there. The diversity is not there, and we need to find ways to, like you mentioned, recruitment. That needs to be more, I will say, aggressive. But
yes.
that is only possible if you break barriers in education that made the job, the profession, more attractive to, you know, Black, Latino, any non any minority group. It has to be more aggressive. I mean, some people will say that people don't want to be aggressive. People don't want change. I mean, we're dealing with biases within the system itself, and it's something that we discuss in Coney Island often enough. I mean, the reason why so much struggle in neighborhoods like Coney Island. I mean, uh, power is an interesting situation. I mean, you have
Mm,
a situation. What does my title mean if somebody else has access to the same opportunities? I mean, I'm
mm,
only wealthy if somebody else is poor. Um,
mm.
we need to break away from that fear of change. We need to embrace diversity in an honest way. The
Being
system has
honest.
to be honest
Mm,
about diversity, not just saying, "Oh yeah, we're trying." No, we got to try harder. We came from India. You saw the new educational policy. They're being very aggressive about creating change. We need to
yes.
modify buildings. Fine, let's modify the buildings. Let's add more desks. Let's add more equipment. We need this. We need that. We need better training. Let's create better training. So that's
Mhm.
something that we need to do also if we want to attract uh, effective Latino and minority teachers. Also, we have a country that is massive, and unfortunately, sometimes in some states, I mean, unfortunately, to live in New York, the income that the profession provides is not respectable. I know teachers in Florida that are having their work, they're teachers, and they have two jobs. They have to work in
Yeah,
Outback. Just, I
I
mean,
know. I
and
know.
then when things go wrong, how many teachers get blamed? I mean, teachers get blamed for everything, and we're doing our
Yeah.
best. I
Yes.
mean, the profession is not respected. So when you want to recruit, it's kind of hard to tell people, hey, become an educator, come and make a difference. And you feel like, people are just gonna like blame me for the problems of society and pay me little for it. And that's problematic. I mean, there's not a uniform. I mean, if all teachers were making a decent salary, I think that will also, I mean, will make us feel appreciated. I don't think people want to become teachers these days. It doesn't matter which background they are, um, because low income, lack of respect, lack of appreciation, and that's
Hmm.
the problem. I mean,
Yeah.
if we're gonna have recruitment, it has to be sincere. It has to be aggressive, but it has to be sincere. We want more diversity. We want more diversity, and we should want more diversity. But my experience has been, and working in New York for now 20 years, is that some
Wow.
people will resist
Yeah.
that change. Why would I want equality? Why would I want equality? Why would I mean? And you've probably been in a similar situation as I've been. Um, what we do, the fact that we exist as educators and as Latino educators, bothers people. It offends people
Hmm.
because we represent the American dream. We were
Mm,
from mothers' backgrounds, our parents came from somewhere else. We came here, we built ourselves, we're successful.
yeah.
People will not admit it in many places, but it bothers them. It
Mm,
bothers them that I went to Harvard. I graduated from Columbia University. It bothers people.
wow.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, when I'm with my kids, it's like getting into trouble, but make it good trouble. I
That's
think
right.
that's what you want. Like, you know what? When you finish high school, you try college, training, vocational, whatever you want. Just make it good. Be successful.
That's right.
And it will bother people.
Yeah.
But guess what? It is okay to be successful. Success shouldn't be limited to only one group of people within the United States or anywhere in the world. So that's another issue. If we're gonna have recruitment, I said it before, it has to be honest. If we
Yes.
want diversity, we have to be honest about wanting that diversity and really doing something about it. And that starts with fair salaries, uh, restoring the respect for education and teaching.
Love it.
This is what we saw in India. You see how they even have a goddess of education in India. There's a
Yes.
deep respect for the profession.
Wow.
We need some of that in the United States. If we want to attract more diversity into the classrooms as teachers, we need more of that.
I love that. And, just even being in this national conversation, you raise so many powerful points that are just continuing to perpetuate, this idea or this reality of teachers being so undercompensated. I know we're going on a little bit of a tangent, but it really has a lot to do with whether or not folks of color want to join the teacher workforce. And the lack of compensation is still just an uphill battle and something that needs to continually be addressed and mitigated at these federal levels. And I'm really excited. Alex, I don't know what's in front of me with the Department of Education, but I do know that I carry a collection of lived experiences of a diverse, a robust, an eclectic, and an amazing collection of teachers and students
Mhm.
that have been my very own colleagues and students at the building level, but also my national friends, with you included, that I want to take with me to Washington, D.C. and really continue to push, to push the envelope, right?
Yeah, I
Because
mean, there's a value. Listen, we talked about this in India. I mean, you talked about how hard it is for you to leave the classroom and do these projects you're doing right now.
Right.
And I told you, I mean, we need people like you up there as much as we need people like me in the classroom. We need boots on the ground. We need people doing the leadership work. I mean, it matters. It really matters. The
Yes.
potential is there, but like you said, you have to keep pushing. You have to keep pushing. I mean, we have to break away from all these barriers that are being created. And that, by the way, they're like mostly this is like they're illusions. Really, it's something that we
Mhm.
create in our heads. And
That's
it's just
powerful.
very tragic because we have to deal with the prejudice of society and the system itself. Let me tell you a story. I was in this is Lafayette High School, 1989. I was in my last year of high school at Lafayette High School, and my teacher asked me what I wanted to do after high school, and I said I wanted to like to go to law school. True story. She told me that I shouldn't think about law school. That my people, she said my people are good with their hands. But I
Wow.
should like consider something like carpentry. This is 1989 in New York City. This lady already was telling me, "You're not gonna make it. Just stick to small things. Just have
Mm.
simple dreams. Don't work too hard. Just." And by the way, Latinos, for example, we're the largest working force in America, and yet
Yes, we
we're also
are.
the lowest pay. We're the lowest pay. I
Wow.
always remember that. I tell that story to my students. My students are like, "What? Where was this?" I was like, it was in Lafayette High School, like 10 minutes from where we are in Coney Island. I said, like, it
Wow.
happened to me. And I would always remember that. It was like, well, I call it my Malcolm X moment because Malcolm X wrote about this in his autobiography. He experienced something like that. And I'm like, wow, she actually told me this. I mean, it's like, just, you're better with your hands.
Wow.
Um, it's tragic because there are people within the system. They might try to mean well, but they are literally finding ways to like make you think small,
Yeah.
make you think small.
Yeah.
We have to fight against that.
And you raised such a good point. Like, it is the system. I mean, like, this is like systemic. These are systemic issues that are literally baked in. And like you say, it almost creates this illusion, and how it's perpetuated from school year to school year, from generation to generation. And that's why it's up to so many of us freedom fighters to change the narrative and to really amplify the voices that are brilliant, that are strong contributors. And as you're saying, the Latino population is the fastest growing in the United States. So if you invest in the Latino community, you are investing in the future and the prosperity of our democracy. I mean, honestly, like this is serious, in
Well,
and out of the classroom.
and that's problematic because I mean, we're not thinking about the future.
Mm,
I mean, we need to think about the future. I mean, we went to India for 3 weeks, and we learned. I mean, India is not perfect. America is not perfect, but I can give India credit. They're truly investing in education. Um, a quarter of their budget, almost a quarter of the budget, being allocated to education. Uh, America could do that,
yeah.
and the question is, what are we waiting for?
Yes.
What are we waiting for? I mean, mind you, India, talking to our fellow Fulbrighters in India, they're taking a lot of their ideas from us.
Yeah.
We're applying a lot of the ideas that I seen being discussed in the United States in
Yes.
education. I mean, what are we waiting for?
What
If
are
we
we
know that
waiting?
education can elevate everybody, what are we waiting for? And that's perhaps one of the biggest issues right now. We're still caught up on this idea that education is not an equalizer anymore. It's a way to place people above other people.
Wow.
And you're trying to recruit. I mean, how you can recruit when you basically telling people, listen, you want to be a teacher, and then it's like nobody respects a teacher. They're
Mm,
banning books. They're telling teachers what to teach and not to teach.
yeah.
Uh, Something needs to change at
Something
the
needs.
national level. I mean, it has to be at the national level. I
Yeah.
mean, what we're doing in New York. I mean, there are things that I have taught in my classrooms in New York City that probably will get me fired in another state. Even the discussions that we had about politics and
Absolutely.
systems and even art. I
Hmm.
mean, there's no uniformity. We need to find a uniform way to help everybody.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Everyone. so that everyone succeeds. So it's not either or, it's and both. Like that is the purpose of diversity and really pushing this idea of a diverse teacher workforce and in all seats of power, because it promotes equal opportunity for everyone. And it's not either or, it's and both working together. And I'm hopeful because we have a current U.S. Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, de Puerto Rico, de la Isla del Encanto, okay? As a fellow Boricua, you already know how I feel, okay? Um, yes, my
I know.
dad is like everything to me, like my cultural landscape,
I
being
mean,
half.
the fact that Cardona is up there, that's a plus. I
It is
mean,
a plus, and
we
we
need
need
more
to bring it.
diversity. Start at the top.
Yes,
Lead by example. I mean, we need
yes,
that. We need that.
yes,
We need that.
and
We need you up there. The same thing that they need me in the classroom. I mean, I will never be able to do what you do. I told my principal, Miss Leong and Coney Island, I can never do what you do. Just like a seasoned principal, a skillful politician. I don't know how she can handle being in meetings with all these people, but I told her I can never do what you do, but I can do what I do.
it's right.
And I can be in the classroom and make my difference from the classroom, one kid at a time.
That's
But
right.
I mean, it all matters. I mean, I like I said, sometimes I'm jealous that you get to travel so much. I love traveling, but at
Yes,
the
you
same time, I know that what you can do is so important and so unique. I won't be able to be as successful at it. You have a skill for it. So
do.
I'm glad that the
Thank
government
you.
is using your skills. I'm glad.
Yes,
I'm glad. Sentimas,
yeah,
I'm glad I'm going back to work on Tuesday, and I'm looking forward to seeing my kids.
yes. You're gonna
Nice.
start your new year, and we wish
Yeah,
you lives.
finally. Yeah, yeah. I miss those guys. I really
Yeah.
do. I
Oh
do.
well, they're coming. They're on their
Oh,
way.
there's stories. We got pictures. We got videos. Oh my God, they want to know everything. It's like,
They
oh,
want to know
yeah.
everything. Well, we've been talking about India here and there, but let's just like really crack that open. Whoa, India was an experience, wasn't it?
It's just nuts. Yeah, yeah. And
Oh
this,
my gosh. Like, how could you, like, if you could wrap it up like in a word or a phrase, like, what would it be?
I would say like India's just this
Oh,
beautiful
I love
chaos. It's just
that.
you get. It's just. I mean, I was stationed in Delhi. I've been to India before, as you know. This
Right.
is probably my third time in India. Um, in a 30-year period. Wow. I always think the last time I was in India, I know I'm gonna go back. I mean, I've seen enough. But then I went back in 2016, and I came back in 2023. It is a beautiful place. It's a lot of potential there. It's a lot of beautiful colors and tastes. It's a beautiful history. There's a beautiful diversity,
Yes.
culturally, ethnically. It's beautifully diverse. There are things that they need to improve, like anywhere in the world. But I
Right.
mean, it grows on you. Like after 3 trips in India, I'm like, I was talking to some of our colleagues online and by text. Like I miss that rhythm. I miss that rhythm of Delhi, and I have to plan a return. Um,
I
you
know. I
know,
loved it. It
you
was
just
such
get
an
used to
experience.
it. After a while, you realize this is like it works like a beautiful clock. I don't know how that clock works, but it works, and it's a fascinating place. Keeps you curious, keeps you interested, and I really miss it. I really miss it. It was great.
So, I mean, I totally miss it too. For those of you listening in right now, just a quick overview of what Alex and I experienced. We entered into this fellowship with Fulbright Teachers for Global Classrooms. They have so many awards that they offer to scholars from all over the world, so many
Yeah,
opportunities.
please
Um,
apply. If you haven't applied, you should apply. If you're an
you need
educator
to
interested in these
apply.
experiences, apply.
Yes, absolutely. And we were able to stay abroad for almost 3 weeks and just get into the culture and also examine specific topics that we were passionate about. Mine was culturally responsive practices. Alex, what was yours?
My focus was on understanding how global education is being presented in the classrooms. I mean, the
I love it.
efforts. The national educational policy, I'll say. I mean, I actually read it. The national educational policy is pretty
Wow.
intense. I mean, India's becoming such a success story.
Mm.
They know their place in the world, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah, they
want
do.
the world to get to know them as well. So they're opening up. It's not just about learning English. Now they're learning German and French. We saw this in classrooms.
Yeah.
Global, the history curriculum is expanding
Yeah.
to basically study countries like the United States, France, and Germany. Um, is really changing. I mean, public education is really is reaching this level that is essential now for the success of India. Uh,
Mm.
and I mean, India is becoming a superpower. I was doing my research where I was writing our reflections. I mean, by 2025, uh, India will overtake Germany and the gross domestic product. By 2027, Japan. So basically, by 2027, 2028, India will be the third largest economy in the world after China and the United States. The wealth
Amazing.
is being generated. I mean, but we also saw the challenges. The
Yeah.
water issue, the plastic pollution, the poverty has the large number of homelessness. Uh,
Classism. Yeah.
so I mean, but India is aware and they're trying to find
Absolutely.
solutions. So I
Mhm.
can give them kudos for that because they know that they're taking center stage. People are listening. That's why the G20 is happening next month in India. I mean,
Yeah.
and all the signs of the G20. I mean, it's the first time the G20 was going to happen in South in that part of Asia. So uh, India's aware, and that's why education is such a big investment. It's such a big investment. They know that if they want to compete in the world market, if they want to connect with the world, education is the way. Global education.
Absolutely. Global education and that global diplomacy and that interconnection. One of the cool things that Alex and I were able to do is to visit different schools
We
across
did.
Delhi. Then we went into host cities. I went to the city of Pearls, Hyderabad. And where did you go, or did you stay in Delhi?
I stay in Delhi. I stay stationed
Okay.
in Delhi.
Okay. And this is a picture of us for those who are able to view, or if you're listening while driving, tune in a little bit to look at this image because it'll be sitting in YouTube live. But we had a great time.
We
Um,
did. We absolutely did.
here's us at a school, and I believe that was it their Secretary of Education came to
Yes.
visit us that day.
The
She
Minister of
was
Education was
the
there.
Minister of Education. Eso es.
Basically, the equivalent of the school chancellor. Yeah. I mean, amazing lady, though. I mean, I read her bio, totally dedicated to school reform,
Yeah.
and she means it.
Yeah,
She's been in charge since early this year. She's done some amazing things. I
absolutely.
mean, Delhi is leading the way on what the national educational policy should look like.
Wow. And that was so cool. You were even interviewed, right? And you came
Yeah,
out because we all came out in the newspaper, but you were
yeah,
one of the few that got recorded. You were
yeah.
talking about your experiences. You were
Wanted a
famous.
New York opinion, I guess. They just wanted a
Yes.
New York. Yeah.
And then here's a picture where we went to our host, one of our hosts. Um, we went to his hometown,
This is
right?
the town is called Lani,
Lani.
Loni, Lani, and that's Rajesh family, and I believe the family handles the farm. Yeah, we spent
Yes.
a morning, very early morning, in a farm, and it was fantastic. We planted a couple of trees there as well, and we visited one of the shrines.
We
And
did.
I think you milked your first cow.
I
Um,
did. Okay. Well, you brought it up. I do have evidence of this. Okay. And
yeah, I
Alex,
filmed it. I know it happened. I was
you were
there.
so sweet because, and I was looking through my pictures and I'm like, why don't I have a lot of pictures of Alex? And here came my revelation. You were always behind the camera. For those of you who don't know, Alex is a photographer and
Very amateur. Very amateur.
he has traveled all over the world and has taken some cool pics. But let's go back to this cow situation because honestly, it was quite
Like this.
an
Okay,
experience.
oh my gosh. Is this happening?
Okay.
Yes, it is
Okay,
happening.
This is happening. Okay.
Wow.
So where?
Anyone?
Okay. And pull?
Yes. Yes.
There it is.
Press.
Oh my God.
Oh, boy.
I'm hurting her.
Like that.
He said he likes it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
But
blast.
how do you get it like that? So you're
Amazing.
pulling?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got it. I have milked a cow in my life.
You milked your first cow, huh?
I milked my first cow, but that's all she wants to put. Sorry. It was harder than it looked.
Got it.
It is.
Got it, Alex,
It
get
is hard
this.
work.
I'm getting it.
There you go. Good job.
Good girl. Namaste.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
That
my goodness.
was an experience.
Farm
Honestly.
work is. I respect. I mean, I grew up on farms in South America. I respect farmers. It's such hard work, such an important job too. I mean, so
Yes.
essential to the world. Farming.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't feel bad for the cow. She didn't even move her legs, so that was good. So,
She was
wasn't
like,
sleeping.
girl, you need
Yeah.
to figure out what you're doing or step aside because it's too hot for
No, you
this.
did good. You did good. Most of the people that milked their cows that day, they did okay. They did okay.
Oh my gosh. And the food, it was amazing. For me, India was the first time. That was my first time going to India. And so,
Mhm.
and I love Indian food here in the States, but obviously it doesn't compare to the
It is,
actual
yeah, it is.
land by which this food was inspired.
It's
But
more spicy, I'll say. Indian food is a lot more spicy in India than in the United States.
neither.
I don't think Americans are ready for a real Indian spicy food.
No, we're not, because when I went to my host city the first night, they took us out for dinner, Marilyn and I had this soup and it had shrimp in it and it looked so good. And I said mild, and they said, yes, we'll make it mild. Alex, I felt like my stomach was on fire. Like literally my stomach. I'm like, I cannot eat this. I ordered
Yeah.
sushi too, and I just kept eating the sushi to kind of like calm down my palate because it was just like rice and salmon and avocado.
Yeah.
I'm like, and like the water, it was not helping. I was like,
It's
I am
part of the
so sorry.
experience. You have to experience this. It's part of the experience.
Yo
It's like when
estaba
you go to
ahí.
Mexico, if you don't get stomach sick at least once, then you haven't really experienced Mexico. It has to happen. It has
I
to happen.
literally,
I'm
oh my
telling you.
gosh, I literally almost died. I was like, I need to lay down. My whole body's on fire. And
It's-
she
it's-
felt so bad because, food is very important in India. It's
course,
such a
of course.
representation, as it is in so many different parts of the world, in every part of the world, right?
Yeah.
It tells the story of the
Yeah,
people.
that's how humanity
Very
began.
personal. And so,
Civilization began with people basically sharing food, breaking bread.
exactly.
It's like
Exactly.
that is such an important aspect. I mean, I'm not a foodie, but I understand the value of that. Something that grew on me was our time in the hotels in India, all together having breakfast. That I actually still miss. It was just so nice to get up in the morning and just sit down with all of you guys and just talk about our evening the night before
Yes.
and just having coffee. And I do, and I do appreciate the value of eating and sharing with colleagues and friends. I mean, it's such an ancient. We forget how ancient the practice is. Human beings been doing this for thousands of years, and so necessary.
And can we
Yeah.
just talk about Merv's photography? So we had another colleague of ours that was
Merv is a
busting
fantastic photographer.
camera, and shout out to Merv, like, who was taking pictures for us. This is probably one of my favorite pictures. We were in the Department of Education for India there, right?
Mhm.
What was the office, right? It was the Office of Education.
Yeah, it wasn't the Department of Education, but it's connected to it. We were dealing with we were meeting actually former Fulbrighters that are
Yes.
part of this board, education board. Let me see. Do I have my papers? Yeah, I have all my papers on the table. I'll tell you what it is.
Like you're
I'm
so in
telling you.
tune with the details.
Oh my God! I will share my blog with you. It's the Delhi Board of School Education.
Okay, please share your blog because I really need to write mine. And listen, I want to do a blog, and so I've scheduled it with my esposo who does the photography, videography, and I feel so overwhelmed, Alex, about our experience in India. I literally want to vlog about it and I'll write an introductory blog, but
I'll
then
share the materials with you, but I got to be honest. It took me like to get a rhythm going, and I have a 9-month-old baby in the house. um, it took me basically almost a month to organize, to process
wow.
the entire time in India. I mean, through notes, emails, texts,
Yeah.
photograph, videos, journal. This is my journal from India.
Yeah.
You see right there, like it's been such an amazing experience, but it's also been, I mean, processing out, it's also been hard because you see so much potential. You want something like that in your country as well. Um, Also, what are the the issues, the challenges are. We have seen the challenges in India
Right.
as well. It's just hard to process so much. We saw so much. We talked to so many people, and I feel that even though I finished writing the journal on my blog, on my website,
Send it to me.
I'm not even done. I don't think I'm done. I mean, somebody asked me, "You think you're done?" I say, "I think I could still keep going." This
Yeah.
I got so much out of it, and my brain is still processing. And that's what India does to you, man. India can be like that. I mean, there's few places in the world that have done that to me. Mexico has done that to me. Mexico did it to me. Um, Peru, of course, being the place where I was born, and I have visited several times since. Um, it's just India has done it too. It's like I'm still thinking about everything I seen, everything I experienced, the people I talked to, the food I ate. I mean, the poverty, the success, the extremes and the contradictions. I mean,
The traffic.
and the art. I mean, the music is everything is just like in my head, just still moving. And I know that even though the blog is fairly down on that on the travel section, I know that I'm gonna keep adding more because there's still more. There's still so much more. And I keep communicating with my guys at my hosting school, and it's so nice to hear from them all the time, share
Oh,
things.
that's nice.
India reached the moon for the first time, and Gurpreet shared a picture with his classroom watching the landing of the
Oh,
craft.
I love
I'm like,
it.
it's just texting him to say congratulations. India's, has reached the moon. There's still so much more to do, and I'm glad this happened. I mean, I'm glad I met you guys. I'm glad I experienced India with you guys. I'm glad I met the
Yes,
people we met in India. The kids have been amazing. I miss them as well.
me
Um,
too.
it's been special. I mean, I entered the program a bit conflicted because I was becoming a new parent.
Yeah.
I'm sure when my daughter grows up and she hears about all of this stuff, she would understand why I was apart from her for 3 weeks. Um, and it was nice.
It was just so incredible. And you raised such a good point how it was just such an immersive, all encompassing journey. And to really embody that is complicated. But I think the first step that we have to do is just to do it, right? And I know
Yeah,
you've been doing it. I have an outline, I have my thoughts. I
yeah.
eventually want to create like a video production on it. Like
It's
because
like
I
I
have
said,
the
you got to lose yourself. You got to. I mean, it's funny because I had a bit of a writer's block at the beginning. How do you explain this? How do you tell your students, your colleagues, people that are looking at this site? How do you explain India? And
wow.
I remember where our colleagues at the Delhi Board of School Education mentioned, like, just you have to reckon there's no one reality to a place like India. There is so many realities, and you just have to let it all just speak to you, and just let it flow, and it'll come out. But
I
there's
love
no one, like, just like in America, right? People ask, "What's an American?" Kids ask me in India, actually, "You don't look American." I said, just like India, we're diverse. I'm just
yeah.
one type of American,
Yeah.
and there's like in India, all these different realities, and I think that what India is doing with education right now, I think the United States should look at and consider because they got their ideas from a lot of their ideas. They came from us. We should be
Right.
applying ideas. I mean, what are we
Yeah,
waiting for? Man,
I think that's a great point.
I'm ranting. Sorry if I'm ranting, guys. It's just
No, I love it. No, that was the point. I think it really deserves some airtime. Our experience together with our cohort in India. Heck yeah, I'm gonna make space for that on the podcast. You best believe it. What
you
an
should do an India.
incredible
You should invite
experience.
everybody else. Have an India podcast.
Oh man, don't get me started because that could be super dope.
You
I
have
mean,
all these amazing colleagues that we met along the way.
that is so true.
Everybody had so many different talents and remarkable experiences that I think everybody has something to say. It will be fantastic.
I
And I
love
think
that.
the India Tourist Board will be very grateful that we keep promoting India so much.
I
Uh,
know,
I
right?
mean,
And
India is
I
awesome. I
definitely
mean, it's taking me 3 trips to recognize, wow, India is pretty awesome.
Wow.
It finally grew on me. I mean, I didn't never knew how to what to think about India until I think this trip. I think now, like, I now actually miss it.
I love
Actually,
it.
miss it. Yeah.
I love it. And hopefully we'll be invited back. I mean, you never know. To pray and to manifest. Hey
Yeah.
man, that's the thing, man. That's the thing. Um,
If I get invited to go back to India, I'll go back. No problem.
yeah, heck yeah, in a heartbeat. But we've
Um,
got oh, go ahead, Alex.
no, no, I was saying I wanted to center ourselves again because you asked an interesting question about why is it that um, there is not that many Latino teachers in the classrooms in the United
Uh-huh.
States. I've been doing a lot of reading about that. I mean, being Latino myself,
Mm-hmm.
um, just wanted to bring this back to that.
Sure.
We need to be aware of the stereotypes in our own culture. We need to be self-aware.
Mm,
Uh, and for most of my experiences of as a student in South America, most of my teachers were, all my teachers actually were, until I got to high school, women. And when there were like novellas and TV about life in school, usually the teachers in the schools were women. Um, so the mentality has always been very interesting in the Latino world that, teachers are usually women.
mm-hmm.
You know, El Chavo del Ocho being the big exception. If anybody watch El Chavo del Ocho on YouTube, there was one teacher that was male in the story, Professor Girafales. It's the only time I remember seeing when I was a young kid
Wow.
a male teacher in the classroom. But that's becoming a stereotype in the Latino community that teachers usually women, usually
Gotcha.
women. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and you also got to deal with the issue of economics and the issue of work.
Mm,
The
that's
idea
right.
of the whole takes us into another idea, the whole idea of machismo.
Machismo. I was about to say that.
And by the way, machismo is not a Latino thing. It's a human thing.
Yeah.
Many societies have practices. We just have a cool term for it. People
Mm,
like to say machismo, but we got the cool term for it. But yeah, the idea that as soon as you finish your studies, you should go get a job and help the family.
right.
And it happened to me. I was 14 years old. I got my first job at McDonald's, and you know, got to work. I never stopped working since. But in a society like today, like in modern America, I would say, as things become more expensive and work becomes more essential for certain families,
Mm,
many young people abandon the idea of a post-secondary education. You
wow.
know, they don't want to go to college because they need to work, they need to make money, support support themselves, support the family.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the reasons why I dropped out of college right after high school is because I needed to support myself.
Wow.
I was 17 at the time. I mean, certain issues in the family meant that I was on my own at 17. So after one semester at Kingsborough Community College, I did what many Latino men have done at that age, and that is dropped out of college.
Wow.
And I needed to find a way to basically live. So that's one of the key reasons behind me joining the military.
Wow.
From 91 to 99, I was a United States Marine. But this happens a lot with in the Latino male community. So
Mm,
the opportunity to basically have a college career is not as common. It's not as
mm,
common. It's not as
I
common.
see that.
So
Yeah. So that's
just to be
another
aware.
barrier.
I mean, we have to be as a community, Latino community, any community needs to be in order to make things better. We need to be self-aware. We need to be self-aware of our own stereotypes and our own challenges. And I think that
Wow.
that's
That's
something that
powerful.
needs to be addressed, man. Like
I love
don't be surprised. Somebody, oh, you want to become a teacher? That's for girls. It's girls.
wow.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
a man. So that machismo then is powerful. It's really powerful.
It is. And it
Um,
definitely stops people right in their tracks from
and you
entering
see
the
the
class.
numbers. Most,
You see the
at
numbers.
least in New York, you're gonna see this that most young women, Latino women,
Yeah.
they're successful not only in high school but also college.
Sure.
As for men, men struggle. Latino men struggle in high school and post-secondary education if they finish at all. It's not
Wow.
because that need, that economic need, the expectation of the male as the supporting a family figure, et cetera, et cetera. So we're dealing with a lot of challenges within our own community if we want to basically recruit more Latino male teachers.
Thank you for that wonderful insight. I really appreciate you thinking through that and even processing that for yourself and really digging up some really honest truths when it comes to the male and the male Latino. But as we're running out of time here, I just got one question for you. Then we'll go into fill in the blanks, and then I've got my fun rapid fire. What's your vision for the future professionally? Like, you are a world traveler. You have served your country. Thank you so dearly for how you have served. You're a classroom educator. You're a dad, husband. So many hats, right?
Too many.
What is your vision
I mean, do I have vision for myself or the system itself?
for your future professionally? And that could include the system because it's included in mine.
Well, I'm part of the system, so I mean,
Right.
whether I like it or not, I'm part of the system. And you know what I try to do is basically challenge the system and change it one classroom at a time.
Come
But
on.
I got to be honest with you. I had the opportunity to become a school administrator before. I have an EDM from Columbia University. But what do I see for the future? I just want to keep raising my kid, so she can become a little bit more like her mother, not too much like me. I'm too hard-headed for that. I don't want her to be like that. But I want to expose her to the world, the
Wow.
same thing I see in the world. I want her to grow up to be a good person. It's funny because my kids asked me when she was born, like, kids are very interesting. They asked me, like, Mr. P, what would you do if she's gay? If Paloma was to be gay, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't care. All I
Right.
want her is to be a good person.
Good person.
Funny, that makes sense to them. Like, that makes sense, Mr. P. Yeah, whatever she wants to be. If she's a good human being,
Right.
I'm done in my job, you know? And that's what I want to do. I want to raise my kid. I want to still be in the classroom. I got to be honest with you. There's been many opportunities to do something else at a larger level, be part of a school administration and other schools. Um, I don't want to. I like being in the classroom. I like
Good.
being with my kids. I like going on school trips. I like to just learn from them, and they can learn from me, and we can learn from each other. I can't imagine doing anything more important. I
Yes.
just love being a teacher. I never joined the system to be rich. You know, as we explained to you before, I not interested in attention or titles. I've been a Marine. I traveled the world. I've done all these crazy things. But in the end, what matters to me is just being a good teacher and a good dad.
I
That's
love it.
that's all that matters. And like I said, what you do is at a higher level and it's important. And I'm glad that you're doing it. I'm also glad that I exist and I'm doing what I'm doing in my classroom.
Absolutely.
I mean,
We
we need
need
to
each
keep that
other.
balance. If
Absolutely.
everybody wants to do what you do, then we wouldn't have any teachers in the classroom. We need boots on the ground, like we always say.
On the ground.
Boots on
Absolutely.
the
In
ground.
the trenches.
You know, and we need to be in the trenches. I mean, every army has its generals, its officers, and its troops. I like being one of the troops. I really
I
do.
love it. I love it. And we are so glad you're there. I am so glad you're there.
I'm
Um,
glad you're where you are.
thank you, sir. I
I can
appreciate
imagine what
it.
you do. I can imagine what you do. It's such an important job. You're a voice to basically teachers everywhere, and that's essential. We need that as well. So thank
Thank
you
you,
for doing that.
Igual. Fill in the blanks for me here.
All
What I
right.
desire for the school year is.
What I decided for the school year, I want to take my kids to see Hamilton,
Yay!
and I think we might be able to do it. We're working on it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Keep me posted on that.
I definitely will. That's gonna be awesome. If we pull this off, we get these grants. We'll go see Hamilton.
I love it. What teachers need right now is
Appreciation.
mm, hands down. I want my students to leave my classroom every year feeling.
Excited.
Mm,
Hopeful.
yes, I love it. Radical hope is what I call it.
I'm telling you,
Radical
we
hope.
need that. One of my girls is graduating this year. Her mother offered her to take her on a trip to Europe. I mean, whatever money, they save so much money just to do this, right? They're not like wealthy, affluent people. So they saved for a long time. And she asked Mr. P, where should I go first? I said, you have to go to Paris. You have to go to Paris. He went to Paris. So everybody tells me, where should I go first in the world? Please go to Paris. See Paris.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to hearing her experiences. She spent, I think, 10 days in Paris. I said, like, just go to Paris. Just let it sink in you. Like, just let me know. I'm telling you, if you don't love it, I'd be shocked, but I'm sure she loved it. I'm sure she loved it.
Yes, I love that. And thank you for encouraging me to go to Paris on the
I'm
way
telling
home.
you, Paris
That
is
was
awesome.
everything.
You
Yeah,
need to go back. You need to
I
go
do
back.
need to go back.
You
We
just
we
scratch the
go-
surface. You need to
yes.
like walk the streets, walk the parks, eat the
Oh,
food.
it was amazing. So here's the last fill in the blank. If I could say something to a male Latino who's thinking about going into teaching, I would say,
What would I say? We need you, man. We need you.
mm,
That we need you.
we need you.
We need more male. We need that diversity in the schools. It will allow us to connect with the kids. The kids are thirsty for role models. I'm telling you, they ask me like how, and they ask me. I get this question at least once a year. Why do you teach here?
Mm,
Because they learned, Mr. P, I heard you went to this school. I went to that school. I heard you did this and you did that. Why are you here? And it's like, because I believe in you guys. I gotta tell my, I believe in all of you. I know it
wow.
matters. I know me being here matters. Nobody else wants to come here. This is a hard place to be. It's not the most attractive school in the system.
Right.
Every teacher that's in Liberation Diploma Plus High School and Coney Island are there because they care.
They
We
care.
We're
Exactamente.
at the bottom of Brooklyn. Commuting is hard. The weather is tough in the winter.
Wow.
Summers are great and the spring is great, but when it gets cold in Coney Island, it gets rough. And I can see, and the population and the stereotypes play a role on this because I don't believe it's true. Our kids are considered difficult, and I haven't really experienced that much. Yeah, the ups and downs every day, but the potential is there. They're great kids.
Yes,
They
they
just need
are.
people that care about being with them. And it's like, and then when they hear this, they're like, and it's funny, that helps us develop a relationship. They're like, wow, he really cares about us.
Right.
We're driving crazy sometimes, but he cares. He cares.
Exactly.
And that's why we're here. I mean, you had to see when Paloma was born. Everybody was so happy. My kids were so,
Oh, I love that.
they're like, they still ask me for photos. How's she doing? Last time I was in Paris was 2020, and I was invited to see an exhibit at the Louvre, at the Da Vinci exhibit at the Louvre.
Yes.
And I told the kids all about it. My kids were as excited as I was that I was going to Paris, and they were excited to hear the stories and see the photos and to know that it's such place. And it's like, and like I told them, I tell you all this thing, I get you excited because one day I want you to do what I do. This is not me putting myself above you. I want you to see the world the way I see the world, and it can be a beautiful world if we allow ourselves to basically open up and just try to be happy and respect each other and help each other. The potential, humanity has a great potential to do great things. We need to focus on that more.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I'm ranting again.
I love it. I love it. We are almost done here. Here's the fun part, and then I'm going to cut you loose here. Rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you either this or that. You can't think about it too much. I
Okay.
didn't prep you or prompt you. Okay, so I'll start with sports category here. Let's see what you lean towards more, this or that. Okay, so the first one, I'm going to take you to Chicago. Baseball here. Chicago Sox or Chicago Cubs?
Cubs.
Cubbies.
The Cubs.
Me too. I'm a
Yeah.
diehard Cubs fan all day long. Yes, yes, yes. Mets or Yankees?
Oh, no, Mets.
Mets? Tell me why. I'm so curious.
The Mets are. You have to go to Citi Field to get a feeling of the Mets. It's a more of a family vibe. It's very homely. Yankee Stadium, I don't know. It's more like the Wall Street crowd. I never get comfortable with that.
Oh, okay.
It's just a different crowd. I like it's more down to earth watching games, watching the Mets play than watching the Yankees play.
Okay.
Mets.
All right. All right. I trust you on that. How about the Giants or the Jets?
No, Giants. Sorry.
Giants, New York Giants.
New York
What?
Giants.
All day, huh?
all day. I can't. I'm sorry. The Jets are just gonna break your heart every year.
Oh man. All
It's
right.
gonna, I don't know. Let's see what happened this year. Anyway,
Super Bowl or World Cup?
World Cup.
Okay. Okay. I usually get a lot of Super Bowls. Who's your favorite that's played in the World Cup?
I'm a big fan of. I love watching Spain play. Spain is
Okay.
great.
Of
Spain and of
course.
course Argentina is great.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean Spain and Argentina any day. I mean we're Latinos, so you see that the entire continent when the World
Yes.
Cup happens, everybody supports their first. You support your country.
Yes.
If your country is not in the World Cup, you support your neighboring country.
Correcto.
Yeah. If if anything, you support your continent. All
I
right.
love
And
it.
then if your continent is not in the World Cup, you support what they call in Spanish the mother country.
The mother country. I
So
love
when if all of Latin and this happens every time, if Latin America is out of the World Cup and Spain is still in, everybody's rooting for Spain.
it. Oh
And
my
of course,
God.
everybody that lives in the United States that is Hispanic will root for the United States as well.
Right.
But that's the thing. First is your country, then is your continent, then is your ancestry. That's why, like, if everybody's out and Spain's still in, we're still watching and supporting Spain.
I
Which is
love it.
yeah, that's just how it works.
All right. Now I'm going to run you over to food. Tacos. And I'm hungry too, by the way.
I got tuna
Tacos,
flinch.
right? Tacos or tortas?
I like tacos.
Tacos.
Tortas are too big.
Me too. I think the
Tortas are too
bread
big.
is too much. Like it's too much. The
If people don't
taquito
know what a torta is, it's basically a big Mexican style sandwich.
sandwich.
It's
Yes.
huge.
Yes. Yes.
No, tacos are lighter. I like tacos.
Me too. And they're very
Also,
versatile.
tortas are messy, so
Right. Okay. Quesadillas or flautas?
quesadillas.
Oh, quesadillas.
I love
I
quesadillas.
know. They're so classic, right? It's just like
Easy.
a
It's
tortilla and
easy. It's
cheese.
easy.
Yes.
Easy meal, tasty.
Love it. Definitely. Churros or flan?
Oof, I like flan.
Me too, because they have all these different flavors and it's
Also,
very
the problem with
milky.
churros is that if you go to different parts of Latin America, churros
Uh-huh.
keep changing on you. There is no one style of churro. Churros
It's
in
true.
Mexico are nothing like churros in Peru.
It's
They are
true.
right now. So at least flan. You know what you're getting with flan.
Right.
Churros sometimes it's a bit of a gamble, depending where
Right.
you go.
Right.
Depending where you go.
So what the world needs most right now is truth or justice.
Wow, can you have both? Can we balance it out?
I don't know. Which one do you think they would need most that would lean into the other?
I think they go hand in hand. You need
Mm.
both.
So
I keep
truth
picking
and
them.
justice.
You need truth and justice.
Okay.
Got to
Okay.
balance it out.
I love that. Fall into that rhythm. They kind of coalesce together to create social change. Love it.
Absolutely.
Okay. What I want to offer the world first is love or grace.
Love. You need love.
Oh,
Everything begins with love. And I learned that the hard way. I think that when I was younger, I was a very angry young man. I think part of it is being a Marine and exposing myself to a lot of conflict. I became a bit jaded about humanity, and
mm,
for a while I was a very angry person. It took me a while to work through all of that, to recognize that only so one perspective of humanity, that is also goodness in the world. And in the last couple of years, I mean, just the life that I've experienced, seeing my kids, my students be successful,
yeah,
seeing my daughter being born and now driving me crazy because she's crawling. I mean, made me realize there's a lot of goodness in the world. There's a lot of love in the world.
there is a lot of love. There is a lot of goodness. I love it. Man, Alex, this has been amazing. Thank
Well,
you for being willing. Even when I asked you out in India, when the revelation dropped in my head, like Alex would be awesome to have on my podcast with the
you're too
LEC
kind.
community.
Absolutely too kind.
Thank you so much for your work. Thank you for what you do. We see you, we honor your work, and we ask that you continue to be you and your authentic self. Have a great 2023-2024 school year. You got this. You know you do. Give our love to that
We'll get through
baby.
it. We'll do
Mama,
it.
Bonita, preciosa. Oh my gosh.
I will. I will.
I wish I would have had you bring some pictures on. Guys, listening audience, Alex's daughter is like a doll. She is so beautiful to look at. She is a gorgeous, gorgeous baby. My gosh, she's a
She loves
model.
her mom. She loves her
And she
mom.
doesn't even try. She just like
Yeah,
exists. And you're
she's
just
very
like
personable, that's for sure.
I'm obsessed. I will confess, I'm
Yeah, I'm
obsessed.
obsessed too. I love my kid.
I am literally
My
obsessed. Like,
biggest blessing and my biggest headache. She does keep me busy. But I love that. I love that.
yeah, nobody cares. We just love to see her. Yeah, that's it.
She's happy and she's healthy, so I can deal with
God
everything
bless
else.
her.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you so
Alex.
much.
Thank you for coming on. We wish you a great school year and what a great conversation. I am so grateful to have met you, and may we continue our friendship and encouraging
Absolutely.
each
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. And
along
thank you
the
for
way.
having me. Thank you for having me. And thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Alex. Juntos podemos. Together we can.
Yes, we can.
All right. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Ciao. You know, I never get tired of talking with incredible humans that are in the K through 12 space that are doing such incredible work. And not only that, but are representing their Latinidad and being mirrors and windows to our growing diverse student population. And now, for a second, of Sofia Speaks. Just a few years back, our stats were showing that only 2% of our teacher force were Latino males. That number is alarming and needs prioritization. The Latino population, as I have stated, is the fastest growing in the US, and yet mirrors and windows still have a great fog draped over them like a curtain, making the path unclear. Latino males are more likely to get profiled in and out of the schoolhouse compared to their more privileged counterparts, more likely to get suspended, stopped in the hallway, expectations lowered. It is without reservation that we need more male Latino educators to join the pipeline. And yet, even still, we are constantly trying to seal the last pipe burst of attrition, burnout, lack of access, and opportunity for our communities of color. If they can't see it, can they really be it? Or a better question would be, why would they want to be it if it's not all that and it's not what they've seen? Stakeholders, we must do better. Our nation's kids are depending on us to get it right so that all kids succeed and not just some. So thanks for hanging in there. To all my EDU justice warriors and soldiers in the fight, I see you, I feel you, and I am with you. Until next time, don't be afraid to get into some good trouble, necessary trouble. If you're not following me on my medias, please do so here on this screen. It is always an honor and a privilege to be with you. Until next time, keep shining. Peace.